Hey there, good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. and thanks for tuning into our streaming newscast that we call Daybreak Plus here on WGRZ Plus. What do we have behind us?
That is Melissa City Hall. I think you're familiar with the building?
I am. I'm trying to get my bearings straight. That's the Statler over there?
Yes.
Okay, and this is like the middle portion of the phallic-shaped building.
The Egypt pyramids, would you know that that's what that was?
I guess so.
Okay, that's City Hall.
Interesting.
Beautiful building. Going inside, it is so ornate.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Have you been up to the observation tower?
Yes.
It's really cool.
It is very cool.
And you just see a lot of kind of gray out there today.
Yeah, there's a little bit of sun, but yeah, it's going to be kind of colder and gray. Here, Melissa, are some of the headlines. Snow showers today. The chill that we'll feel today, it's because temperatures are going to go.
Yesterday was so nice.
It was nice.
It was 40-ish?
What was weather it is? Yes, we hit.
Wasn't it?
43.
It
was the
felt
high.
like spring.
Yes, and the driveways kind of melted off.
Yeah.
Some of that slush.
Just in order for it to freeze over.
To freeze over. Oh, I know.
Because this morning on Daybreak, I mean, we started at about 32 degrees,
Yes.
but we're dropping,
But
and it's going to be chilly today.
It did refreeze, and yes, it's icy. I know. I was trying to mimic my walk to the car because my son, by the way, has made an ice rink in half the driveway.
I thought it was in the backyard.
No, he made another one where he just poured water everywhere. So it's like a sheet of ice, and then it kind of melted yesterday, refroze. He's a special boy. And it's creative. I mean, special,
right.
It's actually what he did is pretty cool. Anyway, walking out to the car, I had to do the penguin walk or the tripod walk because it was very icy is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it's a streaming newscast. We could do whatever we want. Why did he do that? Why did he pour water all over the driveway?
So he had two buddies spend the night over the weekend. And so they wanted the ice rink out in the back wasn't working. So what they did is they kind of crafted this little way to keep the water pooled in one area. And he's got his hockey goal. And so they were able to kind of skate on it and play a little hockey.
Did they skate on it? It worked?
Yes.
Good for them.
Yeah, but it would have been nice if they had reminded me because it melted yesterday, then refroze, and then anyway, so.
Okay, I'm glad we covered that.
Boy, that was a deep dive into, it's going to be icy this morning.
I'll let you do the rest of the forecast.
Speaking of ice, Thursday morning is another day where we might actually get some freezing rain. We had a little freezing drizzle overnight last night. We may get a little freezing drizzle, rain on Thursday, which could make things a little slippery. I mentioned snow showers. Here they come, moving into Toronto, and then they're going to push into Metro Buffalo, probably around the lunch hour, early afternoon. So we are going to see some snow showers. And as the flow today is out of the northwest, kind of a cooler direction. All right, temperatures this afternoon expected to be in the low 20s. So we're going to continue to fall with some snow showers. Tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures remaining chilly, but it should be dry under partly sunny skies. All right, future look shows some of those snow showers coming through early afternoon, and then they're out of here. Notice overnight tonight, we get pretty cold, temperatures dropping into the teens, and then for tomorrow, we'll see temperatures into the mid-20s and dry. But then, I want to go back and show you, we're going to have to cycle through this really quick, okay? I want to show you the ice. I pushed the advance button a little too quickly. Okay, this is Wednesday. We'll catch up here. And then on, Wednesday night late, some snow develops, and then it transitions to freezing rain, which is when the air at your head is warmer than the air at your feet, okay? Colder, warmer on top. That situation can provide freezing rain, and that's what we think could happen. That's what the pink is here. Freezing drizzle, freezing rain. It doesn't look like a big event, but enough where roads could get slippery, especially across the southern tier. I'm not too concerned about the effect on the commute in Buffalo, but again, something we're certainly watching. It's to the south where it might be a little worse. And then as we head into Thursday evening, that all goes away. So in terms of ice accumulation, again, it's not going to be much, but there could, where you see the red here, is where we could see 1/10 to maybe 2/10 of an inch of freezing rain. All right, snow showers, temperatures slide today in the 20s. 28 is kind of where we are now. We're going to fall into the low 20s. Down to 15 degrees tonight. And then the 7-day forecast, freezing rain Thursday morning, as I mentioned. Friday, dry. The next system we're watching arrives later on Saturday late day, evening. There may be some sleet that mixes in overnight, and then snow showers and cooler Sunday. into Monday, and then there's more systems to track next week. So we're actually in a pretty active weather pattern. Snow showers today for the south towns and the southern tier. Freezing rain, more of a concern for the southern tier Thursday morning, and then some snow later Saturday into Sunday morning. Doesn't look huge at this point, but we're going to start getting more of our snow from not the lake effect process anymore, but more like actual like storms rolling through. And I use the word storm just to mean an area of low pressure, more of an organized system versus like a real localized lake effect. And that's what we have. What's this bombshell report?
What we've been talking about all morning.
Oh, that one. Oh, I thought something new broke. I just read the prompter.
Oh, prompter, shiny things in the prompter.
Well, I just saw that. Anyway, more on the freezing rain and more on the next story.
I know.
Which is,
I'm hearing storms, and you're like, oh, let's talk about.
Well, I saw the word bombshell, and so that just got my attention.
Okay.
So, but it's what we've been talking about.
Yes.
Myles Garrett. Okay, moving on.
To the bombshell report.
Yes.
That came out yesterday. Okay. Involving, one of the best players in the NFL, Myles Garrett, reigning Defensive Player of the Year. He has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. He was drafted by the team back in 2017. He did release a lengthy statement. Here's what part of it says. He says, while I've loved calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It's always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. And with that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns.
Interesting to see what the Browns do. I mean, they don't
want to get rid of him.
He was the #1 pick in the draft in 2017. And they're like, you're important to us.
Right.
But if you have a player that doesn't want to be there,
you can imagine what he's going to do in the locker room.
Right.
He's not going to be
toxic.
helping the other team. It's Cleveland's bad enough, the team itself. And so if you have a star player there that doesn't want to be your star player, it's not going to help that team improve at all.
No, and that they've just made such a disastrous move with the contract for Deshaun Watson, which has just set them back financially. They're just in a tough spot.
Right, but they've already come out and said, no, we don't want to trade him. So what are they going to do?
I don't know.
It's a really good question, but lots of teams are being tossed around as far as who would benefit from getting Myles Garrett. And of course, Bills Mafia is speculating whether the Bills should bring Garrett here to the city of good neighbors. Now, Brandon Beane spoke last week about what the team needs to do to add a premier pass rusher. And this was all before the Myles Garrett news broke. Here's what he had to say before we knew about Myles Garrett requesting that trade.
I don't know many teams are going to hand you a Chris Jones or a game wrecker. They're probably sewed up. You know what I mean? Like you look around, there's not a lot of players that make 28 to 30 some million dollars a year, which I think is kind of what those high-end defensive players are making. We're not ever picking in the top 5, 10. Not to say you can never get those guys. Chris Jones actually fell to the second round, and we'll turn over every stone we can to find them. But would I love to add one of those guys? Heck yeah, I would. But we have a cap. We pick where we pick. You got to make the best of what you got. And again, we would love to do that if that player's out there.
So I've been reading a lot of national pundits this morning to find out who has the best chance of getting Myles Garrett and should the Bills go after him. Almost everything I've read says, yes, of course the Bills should try to go after him, but they don't really have a good chance of getting him with the cap issues that we have. But, if there's anyone who can do it, I trust Brandon Beane. I feel like if he thinks it's a good move and there's some jiggling of money that he can do it.
The only thing that just, we did try this before 3 years ago with a very good player, Von Miller, who unfortunately had a really good start to his first season with us, got injured, and never really fully recovered. So we kind of tried that, and Von may still be with the team. I don't know what the future holds there, but it's kind of like we tried this.
Yeah. You know who also comes to mind? 2009.
Oh,
Terrell Owens. He got the key to the city.
Yeah.
He was here for a day,
Right.
got the key to the city,
Right.
turned out to be awful for the team. And then Mario Williams, $10 million man. $100 million man? What was
I
he?
think it was, I forget, but
Back
you got to
then-
remember then, getting free agents to come here was close to impossible.
Right.
Now, free agents are like, where do I sign?
Right.
I mean, generally, if the
But if
money's-
Myles Garrett wants to
Right.
win, this is going to be a good place for him to do that because the window is always open if you've got a healthy Josh Allen.
Right.
So here's what Adam Bonini and Vic Carucci and John Scott had to say on Sports Talk Live last night.
Look, there are a couple of ways to look at this. One is the leverage it could give Myles Garrett for a new contract to be the highest paid defensive player in the NFL and one of the highest paid players overall. He's got a couple of years left on the deal that puts him in that $20 million range. I think he'd be closer to 30 or more million, whether he's still with the Browns or with another team. And then the other negotiation that comes into play is the Browns and the local community in and around Cleveland to get a new stadium. The best asset on your team, which is your selling point, the interest in that team, right? To build what the Browns want, which is a dome stadium. You take that away. You take Myles Garrett out of the picture. There's really nothing left that's attractive.
Well, I'll tell you what's attractive to me. The biggest need for this Bills team, especially on the defensive side of things, and that's a premier pass rusher. Brandon Beane has been chasing this his entirety as the general manager of this team. Mario Addison, Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, and Von Miller. Von Miller was a 33-year-old, knowing you're on the back end of his career, that he's willing to pay $20 million a season for to try to find that oh shoot type of guy in your defensive front that I think completely changes the dynamic of the entire defensive unit. Well, he's now available just days after Brandon Beane says, well, what do you want me to do? These guys never really are available. Well, Brandon, it's out there. And to me, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Garrett. There's other names, whether it's Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. This is the type of player that if you're going to make one big move, and they're not one player away, but a one player like this could really be the difference maker, in my opinion, to get them over the hump.
Well, John, I think you're right. I mean, defensive line has been a sore subject, as we've talked about, since the first AFC Championship loss to Kansas City. So you add a Garrett, right? What does that do to a guy like Greg Rousseau? It elevates his game. What does that do to a guy like Ed Oliver, right? This is the type of player that makes everyone around him better and can solve a lot of the issues on that defensive front.
Well, I think Vic Carucci brought up a very good, Uncle Vic brought up a very good point, is that if there's if they need to sell something, sell interest in the team, and they have a goal to get a dome stadium, if there's nothing left to root for, I mean, Myles Garrett might be it. So, I mean, they've got a couple of other pieces, but
Right, and if
I
they
just
can get
don't see
two
Cleveland.
first-rounders for him and build a new team along with a new stadium.
So I heard, do we have 2 first-round picks to give up?
Oh, Patrick, I don't know.
I think we picked 30th.
I
But
don't
then
know.
maybe we have somebody else's pick somewhere. Anyway, I don't know if we have enough capital.
It'll be interesting to see how this develops. And since no one's really interested in watching the Super Bowl here in Buffalo, everyone will be following this very closely.
No kidding.
All right, we are following the Sabres, though. I mean, they have 3 in a row right now. They're looking to continue their hot streak tonight at KeyBank Center. They're hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets. The puck drops at 7 o'clock tonight. Huge part of the team's recent success is star forward Tage Thompson. He's been named the NHL's second star of the week, and he led the league with 4 goals and 4 assists in the Sabres' past 3 games, including a hat trick against Boston last week.
He's a special talent. I think he finds ways to score goals in a lot of different ways. I mean, people talk about his big shot, and of course he has that. But his goal tonight, he goes to the, drives to the paint, gets kind of a tricky rebound goal. He makes a lot of little plays. He's a big part of our team.
Yeah, hopefully he will be playing tonight after this hit. That player did not get any other penalties from the league other than that game misconduct or getting out of the game.
How did he not?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I don't know anything about
I don't know. Something to note, though, that the Sabres did call up Isaac Rosen from Rochester yesterday, or Isak Rosen, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Head coach Lindy Ruff confirmed that Tage did pass all of the tests, thank goodness, after taking that big hit, but we'll get further confirmation about whether he will be playing tonight after the morning skate.
Wouldn't it be
today.
nice to get that elusive 4th win in a row? We haven't had one of those in forever.
It's been forever.
Right, so come on.
Right. They had, I think, 3 wins, and then it was the 10-game losing streak, and
was
then
it 10
another.
or was it 13?
Oh, was it 13?
I think it was higher than 10. Yeah, I think it was 13, I think.
Oh,
Anywho,
yes.
so.
And then another 3 games.
Right.
So,
Let's get the 4.
the 4 would be nice.
4 would be awesome.
Buffalo needs that right now,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so that's sports this morning. We've talked weather, we've talked sports. This is a fun feature that we showed you this morning on Daybreak. We love celebrating local schools here in Western New York. We do that on Daybreak. And so if your school, by the way, is doing something really cool, let us know about it so we can come out and show all of Western New York what's happening in your school. And every morning at West Seneca West High School, the kids put on a newscast, very similar to Daybreak. And our Natalie Foss went out there and got a look behind the scenes of how they put it all together.
Every morning, students at West Seneca West High School put on their very own morning show.
We will, over the course of 4 days, create videos that we end up putting on TV for our kids in other classes to watch. And we go live, none of it is cut down, none of it is edited, which I think is wonderful.
TV is a grade-bearing class where over 100 students will work together in teams to broadcast the morning announcements live to the school.
It's a lot of hands-on stuff. I mean, you're not sitting here taking notes or anything like that. It's all hands-on. The creativity aspect is huge. Nothing you do is given to you. You always come up with your own mind.
West TV is a whole production, complete with a set, a green screen, a control room, and even teleprompters.
There's a lot of exposure to a lot of advanced technology. You get we have soundboards, we have really high-end camera equipment, we have all of our lighting, our whole, obviously our whole setup here.
And every single broadcast is run 100% by the students.
It feels kind of awesome because you feel more grown up, okay, I gotta take this seriously, I have to make sure I get this right.
Most of them said the biggest challenge they tend to face is the amount of teamwork it takes to do a show, but they love the way it feels after it goes well.
It's hard, but then you get to know the people you work with, and then it's you bond with them, and it's much easier. But at first, when we start a new group, it's the hardest thing to do.
But the students don't do it completely alone.
What's your favorite part of class?
The teacher.
Stephen Greger and Jeff Root co-teach the class, helping the students throughout the entire process.
An interesting class to run as a teacher because it's so student-centered, so student-led. So really we're just overseeing the entire process, being a second set of eyes, helping with ideas, and kind of guiding them as they grow.
The students do 2 to 3 practice runs before the final broadcast. Root says that when they go live, it's their time to work through any problems they may have as a team.
It's hard to know that you have to back off and let them make the mistakes and let them see their mistakes so they know what to correct in the future.
While a few of the students in the class are interested in working in broadcast, Root says the teamwork and communication skills they learn are transferable to any future plans.
For college, I am going to go into sports management as a major and hopefully go into the media field of it. So I think this is going to help a lot with interviews and just talking and connecting with people.
The show is broadcast throughout the school on smart boards and online. And although each show is different, it always ends the same way.
Have a great day, West.
Good for those kids.
That's cool.
And it's not easy to put on a newscast every single day and something different. So good for them for doing that. When I was at Sweet Home way back 25 years ago, and I knew that I wanted to go into journalism, a TV broadcast like that every morning was not an option. That equipment didn't exist. I was in a little closet off the main office, and I asked if I could do the morning announcements, and they're like, yeah, you can do the pledge to the flag and just, read what was for lunch that day. And that was it in this tiny little closet with the microphone. But I knew back then that I wanted to go into this. And now Sweet Home's got a beautiful TV studio, and lots of high schools around here have that technology. It's really cool to see.
That's cool. Yeah, we had nothing of the sort. where I went to school.
Yeah.
So yeah, to see that, that's very cool.
Yeah, and Pete went to Visual and Performing Arts in Buffalo and majored in some sort of communication also, and also did not have a TV studio. So it's really cool that these kids have this opportunity.
Yeah, very
and
cool.
We love having schools come in and we can show them around here and show what they do, or what we do here, and try to inspire future journalists. But everything's changing. What these kids know how to do now, we just never had that back then.
Exactly. The tech, the access they have to technology and their knowledge of it is just,
Fun to see them on the green screen, which you have lived in front of for so many years. So, so good for those kids at West, and we were happy that Natalie was able to go out and feature them. Turning to the Olympics now, one of Italy's most famous ski resorts is gearing up to co-host the 2026 Winter Olympics.
Cortina was featured in the James Bond movie For Your Eyes Only.
How do you know this?
Because I'm a big James Bond fan, and I've always wanted to ski at places like this, or Chamonix in France. The Alps are just beautiful.
Workers in the town of Cortina are working to have a sliding center ready by March. That's when the athletes are scheduled to test it out for the first time. Olympic bobsled, skeleton, and luge competitions will happen there, but there are concerns because snow is in short supply. So Patrick, we actually had a couple weeks ago on Daybreak. Do you know where a backup location will be if bobsled and luge isn't ready in time?
Well, I know where it should be, but it's just so far away. Where's the backup?
Lake Placid.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's a backup. Can you imagine these athletes who are expecting to go to Italy? They're like, well, actually, you have to go north of Albany instead. But Lake Placid is one of there's only 2 bobsled or luge facilities in the country that would be ready to host an Olympic type atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so Lake Placid is a backup.
Well, it's been a warm winter in Europe. However, I realized that they have to actually have the bobsled course. But do you know an area of the world that just set a snowfall record and is one of the snowiest locations on the planet and has had heaps of snow is northern Japan. The Hokkaido prefecture, kind of like a county, received, I think, 48 inches of snow in 10 hours. My point is that there are other locations that have had huge amounts of snow. Just unfortunately, Europe has been kind of spared a lot of cold and snow this winter season. So, but interesting, Lake Placid. By the way, Lake Placid has had plenty of cold and snow this season. So I guess it could serve as a good backup. All right, speaking of snow, we're going to get a little moving through during the midday today, early afternoon. Nothing that really accumulates. All right, temperatures will fall into the low 20s. For tomorrow, we're going to see a morning that starts off in the teens and then ends in the 20s, but it should be a quiet day on Wednesday. Thursday, though, a different story. Maybe a little snow early, and then we bring in some freezing rain, which should turn to rain as we head into the afternoon. But this could make for a slippery commute for some on Thursday. So heads up for that. That's Thursday morning. It changes to rain, and then we should see dry weather after that. Thursday will be noticeably warmer than today and tomorrow. And in terms of ice, again, we could see a quick 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch in certain spots, especially across the southern tier on Thursday morning. All right, dry weather Friday. The next system we're watching for the weekend includes some snow later Sunday night. It may mix with some sleet and then some snow showers Sunday morning. So that's something to watch. Could bring us enough to shovel. We'll see. That's the look for the north. To the south, some snow showers today. Dry tomorrow, freezing rain threat Thursday morning, dry on Friday, then Saturday, some snow and perhaps some sleet rolling in Saturday night into Sunday morning.
You promised that February was going to be nicer.
Okay, I don't promise anything.
I can't, that's true.
I suggested.
Highly suggested.
Okay, at the end of the day, February will turn out to be warmer than January, but
that doesn't take much.
No, and I think it's going to be milder, but active with a turn to cold again, maybe the second half of the month.
Hey, I'm happy for skiers.
Yeah.
And snowmobilers. They had a terrible season last year, and
And
so
the season
they're
before, yeah. So this
taking advantage of it now. I was actually talking to somebody at the Golf Dome who said, last year I was able to get out every single month of the year, including December, January, and February, and golf at a real golf course in Western New York last year because it was just so mild and no snow, and this is definitely different.
Yeah, Buffalo itself has had less than normal snow, but areas to the south, the ski country, have they've had a banner year so far.
36 days until the sun sets after 7.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting,
little glimmers of hope.
Well, just even now, you're driving around at 5:15 at night, the sun is still up, so we're getting there.
We'll get to the end of it sooner or later. We have to, right? All right, we're taking a look at some of the news stories that we are working on today. The jury trial for the man accused of trying to kill author Salman Rushdie is scheduled to begin. Hadi Matar faces charges including attempted murder, assault, and providing support to terrorists. Investigators say Matar stabbed Rushdie at the Chautauqua Institution back in 2022. Rushdie ended up partially blind. And so we will be covering that if that does in fact start today. Then today in Albany, acting Buffalo Mayor Chris Scanlon is going to give some testimony at the state capitol. Scanlon's office says that he will be testifying before the New York State Joint Legislative Budget Committee. We're told that he'll be advocating for key legislative and funding priorities for the city of Buffalo. That should be happening around noon today, so we will bring you what he had to say live at 5 today. And a national reading program is expanding its footprint in Western New York. Later this morning, Erie County officials will announce plans to restart Dolly Parton's Imagination program at the nonprofit Read to Succeed Buffalo. Thousands of dollars in funding will help that program in giving free books to local children up to age 5. So really trying to initiate a love of reading early on in their lives. And we'll have more details once we learn more. And then there's this, finishing touches being put on the field inside New Orleans Superdome. Field crews spent the weekend painting the end zones with Eagles and Chiefs lettering for the Super Bowl.
We've been coming to the city for a number of years, ramping up for Super Bowl. We meet for years at a time because we know where we're going to be for multiple years in advance. So we've seen all the public works and the streets getting renovated, the restaurants are getting ready.
And for all the festivities in New Orleans, last night was opening night for Super Bowl week, and NFL Network took some time to interview some of the key figures on both the Chiefs and the Eagles, and here's what they had to say.
It's been taking it a day at a time. As everyone else has said, it's a great opportunity. Put a lot of work in to have these moments, and it's something you want to take advantage of.
I heard you said, I believe it was last week, you did an interview where you were quoted as saying you knew from training camp that this was or could be a Super Bowl team. Why?
I think that's the mentality every year. Just when it all begins, that's what you work for, to have these opportunities, and it's paid off to have what we have in front of us.
And I know you like this guy's game here next to you. I turn to Patrick Mahomes. The headline of this Super Bowl, can the Kansas City Chiefs go for an unprecedented three-peat? How are you guys able to put away all distractions and climb the mountain this many years in a row?
Yeah, I think it starts with Coach Reed. The culture that he's built, we know it's a day-by-day process. And it's awesome to be in the Super Bowl, but we have to go put in the work every single day first. And I'm glad we're here, but it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for it.
I got to imagine and certainly former Bills players are well aware of this, when you go to the Super Bowl, how many distractions there are. You're being pulled to all these different events and interviews. You almost forget that there's a game to be played. Right. They still have to practice. But
and
wasn't
look
there
at tape of the other team and try to
wasn't one of the Bills Super Bowls, I guess it was in Miami, where the players kind of
had a little too much fun.
Had a little too. It's a party atmosphere,
right?
So that's got to be the toughest job as a coach, to keep your team on message, on target, despite everything going on around you.
Does anyone know what Josh Allen's doing right now?
Well, he usually plays in the
Pro-Am.
It used to be called the Crosby. Now it's called the AT&T. I think it's still called the AT&T.
At Pebble Beach.
At Pebble Beach, and
didn't even play in that.
He didn't play, And it might have been because of his hand, or maybe he just wants to kind of rehab.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, as a fan, it's hard for me to even watch the festivities and get into it. I can't even imagine what the Bills players feel like as they're seeing all the pomp and circumstance and that everything goes into, you know, Super Bowl week, and just sitting from the sidelines and watching. Ugh. Okay, on that happy note, enjoy your day, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 9.